Last week, you may recall, we talked with Cheryl Peters at the Generation E Institute. Saturday was Startup Fest. And so we spend a lot of time talking about businesses that are closing and going away. This is a cool thing because we're talking about businesses that are starting up. And so on Saturday, the Generation E Institute sponsored Startup Fest was sort of a competition among those who would like to start up business. And some of them, one of them, was going to end up as a winner and a little infusion in their bank account as a result. Did I get that right, Cheryl?
You did. Thank you very much for having us. Yes, the third competition for the pitch is one where this year where the groups had mentors. Mm-hmm. And it was an accelerated program where they had to really devote themselves to deciding that they were going to work very hard.
Right. And so when it came down to it on Saturday, you had a certain number of competitors who were vying to win this competition, and they were going to get a boost, a cash infusion to take their business to the next level.
Exactly.
So what did they have to do?
To get into the competition.
And what did they have to do on Saturday to get to that point?
Oh, okay. Yeah. Well, they had been working, like I said, with their mentors, and they had to have submitted prior to the event their prospectus of what they were, of their business, and have that all in order. And then they had to, of course, have their presentation ready for Saturday for the judges. Mm-hmm.
And so then the judges sat back with their numbers like an Olympic competition. And as those presentations happened, they were scored. Is that fair to say?
Exactly. As they made their presentations, the judges had a rubric of which they scored. They had already had the opportunity to read their prospectus, and so they had a background to their business, but they wanted to hear directly from the business owners. And after they were done, the judges went into deliberation and to decide on the winners.
Wow, a deliberation.
Yeah.
Okay, so there was, closed chambers with the judges. So Cheryl has explained how we ended up at Startup Fest on Saturday, and then, of course, the judges went in and had their deliberations, and then once they were done, the winners were Jennifer Cole and Amanda Sunthang. They are ready to open a Burmese restaurant called Shway Mandalay. And they're here this morning. Good morning.
Good morning, Richard. I'm Amanda.
Good morning. This is Jennifer.
Thank you very much. So talk about what your vision is for your restaurant, first of all.
Well, one of our vision is we want to be the best ethnic cuisines restaurant in Southwest Michigan. Mm-hmm. To provide the best quality Burmese food and the best service.
All right. So, Cheryl, these are broad goals, right? But this is part of what we heard. This is probably something the judges want to hear.
Well, they do. They want to hear what they want to do, but they also want to hear when they want to do it.
Okay. So when do you want to do it?
Right now, we are at the middle of buying a restaurant building in downtown area in Battle Creek. And we just signed a purchase agreement. So we are about to step into the bank for our loan.
Oh my
so
gosh.
We are expecting to start our restaurant next year by January or February.
Well, that's not far off.
Not far.
This is pretty aggressive. So you decided to buy a building, not just rent one. This adds a new wrinkle to all of this, doesn't it?
Right.
Yeah. Is that common, Cheryl, where you meet people who say, I don't want to just start a business, but I want to own the property and all of that stuff? This is aggressive, isn't it?
It is. But it depends on the business, the type of business it is. And for these young ladies, this particular property has many advantages for them. And they might explain that.
Okay. Such as, what are the advantages?
We explore many different ideas the past year. It takes us a year to get the right building. We explore renting or leasing or land contract or buying. And we explore many different buildings in Battle Creek. And finally, we found the right one for us, which is like ready to run restaurant. So it's very, very perfect fit for us. That's why we decide to buy this building. It is not like, oh, we see it and we like it and we will just buy it. We explore a year and finally we found one.
Right. So you might have been open to leasing, but this one was just the perfect setup.
Yes, that's right.
I will add a little bit to that.
Please do.
Because after exploring and doing all the research, within our budget, that's the building and everything, including restaurant equipment as well. Sometime when leasing, it's not really a big favor to the owner. It's more favor to the landlord.
Right.
And with buying, that's within our budget. As soon as we talk about commercial building, people are thinking like millions of money. But that's not the case for our. It is within our affordable budget.
Okay.
And it's owning building give us equity and collateral, and it's a lot more benefit to the owner and for our business.
Right. So, Cheryl, talk about what it was, as far as you knew. You're not a judge, but you were there, with their presentation that brought them to the top.
I think that it was hard. I would have not wanted to have been a judge. And I've had the opportunity, Kristen and I've worked with all of the people involved and the participants. But I think that what they were looking for was, number one, the sincerity. Number two, the fact that they had a plan, and that plan, even though a business plan can change, they had a plan, they had their financials, they had everything lined up. And as you can hear, they are ready to go.
How long did it take you to get to that point with your business plan and everything?
About 2 years.
Okay.
2 years ago, we met with Cheryl and we talked about our business idea. And she pointed us what we need to do. She gave us some homework. So we went home with some homework, and she navigated us to the right resources where we can get help.
Right, because sometimes you have an idea, but you're not quite sure how to carry it through. Is that fair to say?
Yes.
Yeah, you don't know entirely where the resources are. I have a friend who wants to start a business, but she's all creative. So when I say to her, "Do you have a business plan?" She said no. And so, okay, but she's all up there in the creative part. You know what I mean? So you have to realize what your strengths are, right? And then figure out where you need help. Is that a fair thing to say?
That's right. Without Generation E help, we won't be here where we are today.
Yeah.
So with their help, we can move forward, and we know what to do, and we know where to go, where to get help.
So when it comes to the two of you, how did you balance who did what in this project? Was it similar to what I was describing about sometimes somebody's creative, sometimes somebody's business-minded, and you put those two together? How did it work for the two of you?
This Shway Mandalay Burmese Cuisine is a partnership business. We have 4 partners, and we all have different skills and talents that bringing together on the table. But we have one common goal, which is our passion. Our passion is to open a Burmese restaurant. And why we are so passionate about this restaurant is we have 2 main reasons. In Battle Creek, we have about 3,300 Burmese population.
Right.
So it's high demand for Burmese restaurant. We need a Burmese restaurant to order Burmese food for our events and celebration, because we have many events and celebration. So right now, we don't have a Burmese restaurant, and what we got to do is we just order for some Burmese ladies who cook from home. So the risk of getting foodborne illness is very high. That's why our Burmese population needs a Burmese restaurant. And for our American community, some of them have experienced tasting Burmese food, and they have some Burmese friends. So they want to try more about Burmese culture and Burmese food. The problem is Battle Creek doesn't have a Burmese restaurant.
This is probably key, Cheryl, when we're talking about identifying potential business, is to figure out where in the marketplace that fits. This is going to be a one-of-a-kind thing.
Well, it is. And the other part to that, too, is that, as these young ladies have just shared, who's their target market? You know, and it isn't just a part of our community, it's our whole community. We have a community that really does like to eat out. And as a result of that...
My hand's in the air.
And they like variety. And so this is where it's a most opportune time. It fits the different niches in our community.
Can we say that about all three of the competitors at Startup Fest? Did they all have a clearly defined niche that they could serve?
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely. They are all winners. And actually, I will say that they all received money, too.
Well, they did.
Yes,
Okay.
it wasn't an all or nothing.
Right.
Because of the fact that these three groups had worked so very hard over the past several months, that it wasn't a point of they're all going to succeed, but they're at different places.
So if you end up working with someone who has perhaps more competitors, more direct competitors than these ladies, that's a whole other aspect that has to be discovered, doesn't it?
Absolutely, because you have to look at, where's the potential? And we always look at how are they going to be successful? You don't set somebody up for failure. And so you might have to take a look at what is it that you're going to offer that's going to be just a little bit different.
Ahead of Startup Fest, Jennifer and Amanda's idea for a Burmese restaurant became the winner of Startup Fest. And as you've heard, they intend to open a restaurant in Battle Creek in January. So have you thought beyond that? Have you thought beyond what happens once the restaurant is open, maybe 5 years from now? Do you think that broadly when you're working on this one big goal?
Yes, we can see ourselves in 5 years. We might have another Shway Mandalay, and there might be opportunity for franchise.
Wow.
That's why we are working so hard to meet with American standard, because in other states, even when they have a Burmese restaurant, they just depend on the chef to cook. So if the chef cooks, the recipe change, the taste change. So we want to go by American standards, and we will go by our operating menu, so everybody can cook just by reading operating menu. So it will be easy when we decide to go for franchise opportunity.
Right, because when you're franchise, boy, if you can imagine, I don't know, McDonald's or something, when you pull in, you're going to get a Big Mac no matter what McDonald's you're visiting, right? So this is exactly what you're talking about. It has to be consistent.
Right, consistency.
So this is pretty aggressive, Cheryl. I mean, how many people do you meet who are saying, "Gee, I'd like to start my own business," but they have goals that are pretty aggressive in that not only are they starting it, but now they have to create a standard and execute that across such broad potential?
Well, I think we were very fortunate in having these young ladies and the others who participated who equally have some pretty lofty goals, but they all have their direction. And that was the benefit of the mentoring program. I will recognize that their mentor was Michael Miller from Culver's Restaurant. Now, when you talk about franchising,
they know what they're doing.
When you talk about this, who better to guide them along their way?
Right. So, yeah, you must have been leaning on mentors as well that can help enlighten you on these issues.
Oh, yes. Our mentors, Michael Miller from Culver's and Amy, they are very good at giving us homework. So every week we meet, we go home with a bunch of homework to work, but we love it. That's what we need for entrepreneurs. And they've been there. They know what to do. So they give us the right homework at the right time.
Jennifer, you went traveling, too, to study this, didn't you?
Yes, I went to Los Angeles, where about 50 to 100,000 Burmese population in LA, which I did not even know. I have a friend who lives in Las Vegas who have all the connections, and she took us there, and I discovered a lot of the business idea, and we are very glad that we're in the right direction with what their standard, with the LA bigger city, the standard and the level they're doing things. It's kind of more motivation inspire us as well. And with our mentor, he always tell us, small business owner never think like big organizations. That's why it's hard to success. So I want you guys to have a mindset to think and to operate like a big company so you can be there.
Yeah, it's hard to make that leap sometimes. In fact, that movie is out now called Founder, which we're talking about McDonald's. That's the movie with Michael Keaton that dramatizes how McDonald's became so big. And it wasn't the founders of McDonald's. It was Michael Keaton's character who came along and said, there's an opportunity to be bigger. And the owners had trouble making that leap, just what you're talking about. They weren't in that frame of mind, but somebody else was. So what you're saying is get in that frame of mind.
And I want to add to that, after I came back from the trip, I have a friend who visited me from Maryland who been here very long. She is in a food business as well, but not like a dining restaurant, in like a sushi business. And she was talking about they have a plan to do the Burmese restaurant, but they just don't know how to start and how to do those health department requirements. That's kind of clicking me and remind me, like, right there, you already have a client or what you can do with your niche and networking. So,
well, Cheryl, we see how these ladies rose to success here at the Startup Fest. Congratulations to you both.
Thank you.
And we'll be waiting to come to Shway Mandalay and try it.
Yes. When you say about try it, let me tell you one quote. Burmese food is, once you try it, you love it, and you want to eat it over and over again.
Okay. We're going to hold you to that. All right. Congratulations to you both.
Thank you.
Cheryl, thank you for the update. Very exciting. New businesses that are budding right here in Battle Creek.